Jehovah's Witness slugs me in the face. On May 16, 2010 at 10 a.m., I was standing on Highway 11 in Cow District, Nalehu Town. I was in front of Hawaii County Road Works Department Corporation Yard, just west of the Nalehu Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall Church. I was holding a small sign which read, "Paul is the Antichrist," and facing the church. CA, a person known to me, drove into the church parking lot and parked in the rear. CA walked up the center of the driveway, glaring his eyes at me as he walked until he came up to me very close where I was standing. CA immediately, and in a very angry, threatening manner, ordered me to get out of here. I replied that I could not. With his repeated orders, CA simultaneously pushed me backwards with both open hands punched to my shoulders. After doing this several times, CA threatened to punch me. I replied that he would go to jail. CA said that he would not go to jail. CA grabbed my small sign, and while holding it outward in his left hand, he grabbed my shirt at chest level with his right hand. Pulling firmly, he removed all of the buttons, except the bottom one. Holding my shirt, CA began pulling me against my will to my truck, which was parked 80 to 100 feet away alongside the highway. As CA was pulling me, he was ordering me to get in my truck and get out of here. When we reached the truck, CA opened the driver's side door with his left hand, and he repeatedly tried to force me into the truck, but I resisted him. CA then pushed me against the truck, and with his right fist closed, he hammer punched me very hard, high on the left cheek. I fell to the ground on my right and lay there. Three ministers from the Jehovah's Witness Church arrived, standing between CA and I. They were Michael Tonini, Aaron Hiley, and Barry Plusko. All men are known to me, as I had attended church services there 3 times a week from May of 2003 through sometime in 2006. After striking me, CA kept repeating, "I love Jehovah." As I lay on the ground, Michael Tonini stood over me asking, "Is there anything you need?" several times. After a while, I stood and walked to the front of my truck. I called the police at this point. The 3 ministers and CA walked back to the church, none of which spoke another single word to me. An ambulance arrived and I was examined. No clear injuries, so I declined going to the hospital. After a brief police interview, I returned to my former position in front of the county yard at about 10:50 a.m. I was holding the sign as before. I was feeling very ill with a headache and pain to the side of my head and neck. I had formally resolved with very strong intent not to let anything detain me from spending 1 hour in front of this church with a small sign. At about 11:15 a.m. I blew my nose and I had the incredibly painful and shocking experience of my cheek and temple area filling with air like a balloon. CA's blow to my head had ruptured a nasal passage. I had to sit down for a short while. I returned to stand to my former position till about 11:35 a.m. I then returned to my truck, where I lay down inside as I did not feel capable of driving. I laid in the truck for some time until the church members had left. The church was very full this day, likely over 100 people were present. As there are 6 very large windows open, to the area I was standing, many people in the church must have seen CA attack me. The seats inside are arranged facing the street. Ministers Tonini, Hiley, and Plusko saw CA strike me and possibly others. Not one single person, either during or after this attack, nor while laying in my truck, called the police, said they were sorry, asked if I wanted or needed help. I formally had a restraining order against CA from March of 2004 through April of 2007. CA was charged and sentenced for violating the TRO in August of 2005. The ministers of the church knew about this TRO with their longtime member CA because we had added a clause to the TRO to allow CA to attend church while we were there. No consideration was ever given for our consideration. Matthew 23:33-34. Serpents, offspring of vipers, how are you going to flee from the judgment of Gehenna? For this reason here I am sending forth to you prophets and wise men and instructors. Some of them you will kill and impale, and some of them you will scourge in your synagogues and persecute from city to city. Matthew 23:15. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you traverse sea and dry land to make one proselyte, and when he becomes one, you make him a subject for Gehenna twice as much so as yourselves. Matthew 23:8-10. But you do not be called rabbi, for one is your teacher, whereas all you are brothers. Neither be called leaders, for your leader is one, the Messiah. Matthew 7:22-23. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, did not we not prophesy in your name, and expel demons in your name, and perform many powerful works in your name? And yet then I will confess to them, I never knew you. Get away from me, you workers of lawlessness. Matthew 22:36-39. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? He said to him, you must love Yahweh your God with your whole heart, and with your whole soul, and with your whole mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. The second, like it, is this: you must love your neighbor as yourself. In 2003, CA smashed a fence with his fist and came into our property, threatening to beat and kill my wife and myself. He stated that he had killed people before, all this in front of our 3 small children. CA got angry when my wife was talking to our neighbors about the chickens that they had taken, which belonged to us. My wife also noticed marijuana plants and mentioned it. CA was visiting his relatives at the time. We received a restraining order against CA. Later, CA came by our home and frightened our young children while we were down the street. CA received a sentence of unknown penalty for violating the TRO when he had come to our home. In spite of his fierce criminal nature, we made a provision for him to attend church while we were present. He never acted in a threatening manner towards my wife, 3 children, nor myself while at church. This past May 16, 2010, when CA assaulted, kidnapped, and committed battery against me, I did nothing to provoke him. I only told him that I would not leave and he would go to jail if he struck me, nothing else. As a former Jehovah's Witness of over 45 years, I can verify that they have changed immeasurably in their disposition. Their conduct and actions border on bizarre. When they see my wife or me in public, they run, flee, or hide. No one can help feeling a little sorry for them. They must believe their elder masters hold the power of life and death over them.